The defense cluster is a major force in the U.S. economy. This is especially true in New England, where, as Tim said, the defense economy employs thousands and generates billions, a clear indication of the regional strength of the defense economy. Senator Reid is at the center of that strength. Since taking over as chairman of the Armed Services Committee, Senator Reid has continued the legacy of maintaining the committee as one of the last bastions of true bipartisanship in Congress. And the result has been the passage of thoughtful defense authorization bills that address the complicated global challenges of our time. Not only does he guide the authorization bill, but he's also one of the most senior members on the Appropriations Committee and a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, a truly powerful combination. Let me welcome to the stage a man who needs no introduction in this room. I'd like to welcome Chairman Jack Reid.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for that very kind introduction. Good evening. I want to thank Raytheon, General Dynamics, and all of the organizations and sponsors and their staff for making this event really spectacular. Also want to welcome the mayor of Newport, Mayor Zai. He's the smart one down there. Special thanks to Molly McGee and Tim Del Judas. They are, well, Molly's the heart and soul of this organization, and Tim, well, Tim's Tim. No, just kidding. I want to also extend a special welcome to Admiral Franchetti, a superb nominee to be our next Chief of Naval Operations. Thank you, Admiral, for being here. SENEDIA's Defense and Innovation Days are a great opportunity to showcase the capacity of our state and our region and to strengthen the web of connections that are critical to our national security. And this conference provides an excellent venue to develop new relationships that may lead to future collaborations. Indeed, it's more important than ever that we find ways to collaborate. In the past few years, America's defense leaders have reached a general consensus about our top national security challenges. As the new National Defense Strategy makes clear, China is the primary potential threat to our national security. Beijing does not accept U.S. global leadership, nor the rules-based international norms that have kept the peace for the better part of a century. Further, as we have seen with the disturbing clarity, Russia is willing to inflict violence and undermine the global order for its own twisted self-interest. And then there are states like Iran and North Korea that continue to push the boundaries of military brinksmanship and terror. And in addition, we face the terrorism, climate change, global pandemics, all persistent threats. Our defense and industry leaders understand the urgency and enormity of these threats. So the question now is, how can we respond to them? What practical steps can we take to meet these challenges? How do we prioritize and make trade-offs when developing responses to these threats, since our resources and capacity to respond are not limitless? In fact, I would say they are limited. I believe that we urgently need to transform the Department of Defense and consequently the defense industry at large for the 21st century. There are practical actions the Defense Department and industry can take to bring about this transformation. Among other efforts, this transformation can be achieved by reimagining how we fight and by investing in innovation. To reimagine how we fight, we first have to recognize the nature of competition, deterrence, and conflict in the 21st century. It has changed dramatically and swiftly. Cyber and information operations can shape the battle space as fundamentally as air and sea power. Armed conflict in one part of the world can upend everyday life on the other side of the world, whether it be the price of gas, availability of food, or access to supply chains and technologies. Our adversaries, particularly China, have found ways to exploit this environment and compete just below the threshold of armed conflict with the United States or our allies. As the Defense Department's new joint concept for competing puts it, China seeks to win without fighting. The strategy warns that if we do not adapt our approach to compete more effectively, the United States risks ceding strategic influence, advantage, and leverage while preparing for a war that never occurs. Indeed, the document warns that the U.S. could lose without fighting. Just as Chinese leaders have studied our way of war, we need to study theirs. The Defense Department and the U.S. defense industry should develop asymmetric, course-imposing capabilities of our own. Critical to this effort will be our ability to build jointness throughout the force, and I'm encouraged by the Department's efforts on the Combined Joint All-Domain Command and Control, or JASC-2 concept, which would be a force multiplier in this regard. This initiative will enable the joint force to detect, analyze, and act on information across the battle space, quickly using automation, artificial intelligence, and predictive analysis. The concept will help our forces acquire targets as early as possible and rapidly deliver information to the best shooter on air, land, or sea. If we master these techniques, then we must quickly include our allies and partners. Indeed, our network of allies and partners will be the decisive factor in this competition. We have seen the power of this approach in the coalition effort to support Ukraine, and it should be pursued in the Indo-Pacific as well, particularly as we strive to deter Chinese aggression against Taiwan. We are making good progress through regional networks like the Trilateral Security Agreement between Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, known as AUKUS. AUKUS has shown great promise thus far, and the New England defense industry will play a critical role in its long-term success. I look forward to discussing this partnership more in the coming days. There has also been momentum in a number of other relationships, including our new basing agreement with the Philippines, a remarkable transformation in Japan's defense strategy, and an historic cooperation announcement between South Korea and Japan, which President Biden helped broker at a summit with the leaders of Japan and South Korea at Camp David earlier this month. I hope that strategic partnership and many, many more will encourage more cooperation in the region. To keep pace with the evolving threat environment and our reimagined way of war, we need to transform the Defense Department to innovate at the speed of relevance. This will require investing in modernization and focusing on acquisition reform. The battlefield of the future will be shaped by cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence, hypersonics, and autonomous systems. But it is not just about finding the new capabilities. We must be able to deliver them to warfighters faster, much faster than our adversaries. A particular focus of the Armed Services Committee has been helping the Department transform its acquisition and budgeting processes, and I expect we will see further improvements in this area. More broadly, however, I am concerned about the strength of our national research and innovation enterprise, including the workforce, the health of the manufacturing and industrial base, and the infrastructure we need to support technology development. We have the world's best innovators in the defense industry and the commercial sector, and we have to find ways to help them work more closely together to produce next-generation defense systems. While the Department is able to field many of the most advanced weapons and technologies in the world, our acquisition system has become risk-averse to a dangerous degree. Too often, the Defense Department's procurement practices get in the way of the military services' ability to adopt cutting-edge technologies. In many cases, our warfighters get the technologies they need in spite of the acquisition system, not because of it. This conference is an example of the kind of innovation ecosystem the department needs to develop if it wants to maintain the technological advantages necessary to prevail against our potential adversaries. The long-held advantage of America's capacity to innovate and prowess in manufacturing is not a given. Innovation must be nurtured and maintained through careful investments in people, infrastructure, and partnerships, and with strong leadership from both the public and private sector. Indeed, China has studied the processes we use to develop our military capabilities, and China's leaders have worked to narrow their technological gaps. We must work smarter and harder to regain ground we have lost and to put more distance between us and the capabilities of our adversaries. We need to outpace our adversaries in the innovation race and build a world-class, next-generation manufacturing sector in the United States. I think the people and companies represented here can and will play an important role as we seek to stay ahead in this continuous race. In particular, many of you are involved in developing one of our nation's key strategic advantages, undersea warfare. As we all know, our submarine force is the finest in the world, projecting force abroad while serving as an important leg in our nuclear deterrent. Recapitalizing the undersea fleet is critically important. We must replace the aging Ohio-class submarines with the Columbia-class and ensure they remain the most survivable leg of our nuclear triad. Last year, we reached a significant milestone in that effort when the Navy signed a contract for starting construction of the next 5 Columbia-class boats. Many of you represent the present and the future of our submarine fleet, and I hope we can continue to support your endeavors to maintain our undersea dominance. Finally, the key to our military success, of course, is tied in large part to the defense civilian workforce. Our civilian workforce has been challenged in recent years by institutional roadblocks, such as limited career growth opportunities, hiring caps, pay freezes, and highly competitive benefits in the private sector. Major shifts in the U.S. workforce as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic are also posing a long-term challenge to the defense industrial-based workforce. Congress and the Department need to find ways to restore the health of the civilian workforce. We have to develop long-term, sustainable initiatives to attract talent, train and retrain skilled personnel, and support the people needed to bring our national defense to life. When possible, we need to do more to link the innovators at our local research universities like Brown and URI, as well as the engineers and scientists at Newark and other government labs, to help find ways to give a competitive advantage to our local small businesses as they seek to compete in the global technological marketplace. We also need to develop new models of public-private partnerships, such as establishing shared research activities and facilities, exchanging personnel between government and industry, and using new acquisition authorities to take advantage of the best in public and commercial sectors. Organizations like SENEDIA and meetings like this one represent exactly the kinds of things we should be doing to establish and grow these partnerships. We have much to do, but efforts like Defense Innovation Day is a major step in the right direction. And I'm pleased to be honored by opening this conference, and I look forward to working with you all the days ahead. And finally, what I think unites us all in a dedication to make this a better place, and particularly to make the equipment necessary, is our profound respect and appreciation for the men and women in uniform who sail our ships and fly our planes and protect us on the ground, the air, the sea, and in space. And so your dedication to them is extraordinarily important, and it makes all the difference in the world. And I thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Reid. It's always great to hear from the chairman, especially here in his backyard. One of the best parts of being on the SENEDIA board, and one of the best things that we do is provide scholarships to young people who have expressed an interest in working in the defense sector and working in the technology that all of our companies are focused on. And we have two of our scholarship winners here with us tonight, and I'd like to invite them to join Senator Reid in front of the podium to accept their scholarship. Hannah Berlusconi from Mass Maritime and Ed Rishmani from Wentworth Institute. So Edward, if you want to come up, please. Senator, if you could.